Thomas, Thomas, Thomas! And Thomas woke with a start to hear Edward calling his name. You better start keeping track of the time, Thomas. Now that Sir Topham Hatt is putting me back in service, I won't always be here to do it for you. Oh, right, Edward, of course, Thomas stammered. I'd better go arrange the first train. I've got a lot of shunting to do. Thomas ran to find the coaches and took them to the station where Henry was waiting. Now Henry had steaming troubles, but he was one of the only bigger engines that was nice to Thomas. Thomas pushed the coaches behind Henry's tender, then got ready to push behind to help him start as he did with all the heavy trains. Good luck, Henry, Thomas called as he stopped and went back. And no matter how little steam he had, Henry always whistled, "Thank you, Thomas," as he made his way out to the main line. But Thomas worried about Henry, for his steaming troubles caused Sir Topham Hatt endless frustration. You don't think that Sir Topham Hatt would ever send Henry away, do you? He asked Edward one night in the shed. Sir Topham Hatt always gives engines a fair chance, replied Edward, and Henry's a good sort. But, he sighed, Sir Topham Hatt does have the final say in the end. But Thomas was still worried. Well, you know what they say, the less rubbish the better, mumbled Gordon from across the shed. Who knows? Maybe Sir Topham Hatt will decide to scrap Henry, put in 87546 in a rather matter-of-fact tone. Then why are you two still here? Fumed Thomas. You two better shut up, or else I'll... How very rude! Or else you'll what, Thomas? Or else you'll what? You're too small to do anything to us. That's enough out of everyone. Don't bully Thomas. I say we all get some sleep. We all have work to do in the morning, and you'll only waste time by picking on engines smaller than you. That shut the two big engines up, and soon everyone went to sleep. All that is except Thomas, who was still very worried about Henry. The next few days, as Thomas was busy in the yard, he noticed something odd. Of all the engines to pass through, he hadn't seen Henry in a long time. Now, Henry had broken down while pulling an express train and so was sent to the works. But Thomas had been so busy that no one had thought to tell him this. Thomas began to worry. Then, one day as Thomas was taking on water, he saw a green tender engine talking to Sir Topham Hatt. Now, the rest of you will know this as our friend Clarence, but Thomas hadn't met him yet. Thomas listened as best he could. He couldn't catch everything, as Gordon soon came clanking through with the express. But he did hear the words Henry and making arrangements. Thomas was dismayed. I can't believe Sir Topham Hatt is actually sending Henry away. Where's Henry? Thomas demanded as he bumped the trucks crossly. And who is that? The trucks, tired of being bumped, saw a chance for some mischief. You know, said one of the most mischievous trucks, I haven't seen Henry for ages. It continued ominously. Do you know what I think? I think that other engine was sent as an imposter to simply take Henry's place without any of you knowing. Thomas was furious. How dare he! Next time I see him, I'm gonna tell him just what I think of him. The trucks smirked amongst themselves as Thomas puffed crossly away. Their plan was working. Next morning, as Thomas was arranging the first train, he saw the green engine waiting at the platform. He pushed the coaches behind his tender. Then he pulled up alongside. "Why, hello," whistled Clarence cheerfully. "I don't believe we've met. My name is—" "Don't bother introducing yourself," huffed Thomas. "I already know who you are and why you're here." "Oh, do you now? Well, I guess there's no need for introductions then. But would you be so kind as to give me a push to help me start? It is a heavy train, after all." "You're asking me to give you a push after you come in here swanking about pretending that you're one of us when really you're not. You're just some damn imposter, so go start your own train. I have other things to do. I'm a busy tank engine." Clarence felt hurt. He didn't know what he'd done. Later, he told Gordon in 87546 about Thomas. "You look glum, Clarence." "You know you can always talk to us." "Well, if you must know, it's that cheeky little blue shunter." "You must be talking about Thomas." "Well, his attitude is just disgraceful. Disgusting. Well, I was gonna say despicable, but those words work too. Well, this morning, as he gets my coaches for my morning train, he's rude to me, and then when I ask him to give me a push, he simply refused and was rude again. I haven't wronged him in any way." "My dear Clarence, don't even waste your time on little Thomas. He's way too cheeky and causes far too much trouble for his own good." "Yes, he's always playing tricks. No wonder Sir Topham Hatt keeps him secluded in the shunting yards." "So, what do you two suggest I do?" "You must be firm with him. A large and splendid engine such as myself never gets pushed around by a little blue menace." "And if Thomas tries anything, don't be afraid to remind him that you're above him." Clarence didn't think that any of this really sounded like his way, but Gordon in 87546 had known Thomas for longer, so he decided to take their word for it. "Oi, you! Hurry up with my coaches!" he called out in a voice that was quite unlike his own. "What's the rush, you big dork?" called Thomas. "It's not like you're going to be late." "You don't tell me what to do. I tell you what to do," said Clarence, flustered. Gordon in 87546's words felt wrong coming out of his mouth. "Here are your stupid coaches, then. I'm going back to the shed." And Thomas fumed angrily away. Thomas was in such a foul mood, he did not realize that he was reversing towards some points that were set against him, and that another engine was reversing from the sheds on the other track. The other engine didn't notice either. Any moment, there would have been a crash. Clarence, however, noticed, and without hesitating, he blew his whistle frantically. Thomas suddenly snapped out of his angry trance and realized what was about to happen. The other engine noticed too. Thomas's driver applied the brakes. Thomas put all his effort into stopping. At last, both engines came to a stop. The other engine snorted. Huh, typical little shunter. No sense of duty. Thomas blushed with embarrassment as he breathed a sigh of relief. Thank you so much, said Thomas thankfully. You saved me. But why, after I've been so horrible to you? It's me who's been horrid, replied Clarence. I should have never listened to Gordon in 87546. Henry would have probably told me otherwise if he was here. You mean you're not here to replace him? Oh, no. I'm just his temporary replacement. Well, Henry gets repaired at the works. Or until as long as the NWR allows. Thomas smiled. He was glad that Henry was not being replaced. You know, I think we need a reintroduction. Hello. Nice to meet you. I'm Thomas. I'm Clarence, laughed the green engine heartily. You know, he added with a cheeky smile, I think we should get Gordon and 87546 back. Both engines smiled cheeky smiles. Then the guard blew his whistle. Clarence gave Thomas a friendly whistle and puffed away. A few days later, when Henry returned from the works, all the engines who could came to welcome him home. All the engines were happy to see him again, especially Thomas. As for Gordon in 87546, Thomas and Clarence did pay them back, but that's a story for another day.